What up, everybody, and happy Friday Eve from Middle Tennessee. Smoking an Oliva Series V full B-side channel cigar review on this thing. Get into some other conversations, have a nice pour, something nice to match this with. Talk about the functionality of cigar bands. And because this is deep cut energy, we're going to talk a little bit about energy. Talk about matching people's energy and why that can be a bad thing and what can happen, the freedom that it can give you when you don't do that. We're going to deliver you some B-side magic as always, so stay tuned. This is Deep Cut Energy. All right, Oliva Series V. I'm sure a lot of people have had it. As we get into it a little bit, and I start doing this review, you'll see why I chose what I chose. So, what's a good whiskey to pair with this? So I went in the liquor store and I was looking around. I ended up wanting to find me a nice rye to have with this. Liquor store did not have rare breed rye, which one, like, where am I going to start shopping from now on? How the hell did they not have that? So, do a little Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Rye. This is 94 proof. Feeling it on the neat pour tonight. Beautiful whiskey. They're all beautiful whiskeys. Man, that smells good. I've not had a rye. I mean, I had the Basil Hayden dark rye recently. I did a cigar review using it, and it's good. I like it. I just can't have a lot of it. It's very sweet. This, not quite so sweet. Yeah, I'll take it. Oliva Series V. Ecuadorian Habano sun-grown wrapper. I love a Habano wrapper anyway, but man, this thing's got something special to it. Man, that smells good. Talking Nicaraguan binder and filler, and I gotta look this up. I gotta read my notes because what's in the filler has got more than just Nicaraguan filler. So a robust blend of specially fermented Nicaraguan Ligero long fillers, primarily sourced from the Jalapa Valley. The Ligero leaves are the thickest and most potent, taken from the top of the tobacco plant. So what that all equates to in my mind is you got a lot of flavor, a lot of aroma with this thing. Hit it with a little retrohale, nothing major. Definitely get that peppery feel, but man, it leaves behind a flavor or an aroma or a little bit of both on that retrohale. Very nice, very different. Taste is kind of bready, and I do not really get that book glue, spine binding, whatever that I get on a lot of stuff. This is a fantastic cigar. A lot of people prefer the Melanio of the Oliva Series V. I like them both. This is fantastic. I love this size. What size am I smoking? Did I even save it? It's in one of my cigar reviews. I don't know. It's that size. It might be a Robusto. I think that it might actually be a little bigger. I'll look it up and put it in the... I'll put a text on here. It's got a strong aroma. When I go to smell that foot smoke, which is where I like to start and where I like to stay, it's powerful. If I take too big of a smell in, it feels like a retrohale. It's very, very strong to me, and not in a bad way. So I'm starting to pick up on the palate like a very dry rye bread, right? Which is, of course, why I decided to pair it with a rye whiskey. I do not typically try to find a lot of balance when I'm having a cigar with a whiskey. I oftentimes, or almost all the time, like to find something that matches that intensity and that vibe, right? So I'm going to even up this burn line just a little and get a bigger whiff of this. So this thing's got a rye bread vibe to it. And I'm drinking a rye whiskey on purpose so that I can double down on flavors and aromas. And you could say match energies, which brings me to one of the things I wanted to talk about. Deviating from the actual cigar review for a moment, humor me for a second. So I'm getting a little older, right? Getting a little gray in the old beard here. But there was a time I was a fucking hothead, man. I had to work on it, right? And then in working on it, meant a lot of times somebody would do something to piss me off. And I wouldn't say I was matching their energy, but I definitely would let them have it. I would react, right? And then because I reacted, we were kind of left with the way I reacted and not so much what they did to piss me off, which doesn't mean that I should react harshly or let somebody have it with both barrels. But I'll tell you what, I don't remember the first time I heard the term victim blaming, but man, when that term went mainstream, the fucking victims came out of the woodwork, man. They couldn't wait to antagonize people and then be sad because you were blaming it on them. And sometimes, like I've said a lot of times, I can be an asshole, but I'm not usually just sitting around by myself being an asshole. There's usually somebody else involved, right? That's like almost 100% of the time part of the equation is another person. I'm never just sitting around by myself just meditating and oming out and being an asshole, right? Somebody's typically also there. Maybe it's on me for being a easily irritated person. Maybe it's the other people. I would go ahead and vote and say it's a combination. So as I got older, I never wanted to be one of those dudes who got old and was just stuck in their own ways and was like, fucking it's everybody else's fault. So if I had an issue, there's been a couple times I've had issues with people, family members or close friends or whatever, and they didn't like my reaction, even if sometimes my reaction wasn't harsh. I'll spare some of these other things for another time, but let's talk about when I have a harsh reaction. So I've been in several instances where somebody was they were in rare form, man. They were being an asshole to me, and they were being an asshole to maybe somebody that I really liked or had some sort of responsibility for taking care of in some way. And then I would have it, and I would snap and fucking, let them have it. And then they would get their feelings hurt. And because of the whole victim blaming thing, and because I was also working on my own accountability with things, being accountable is pretty important. And because I didn't want to become this person who was like, fucking, I was right, so I had every right to react that way. I don't want to be a reactive person, right? I don't want to react harshly because it's not professional, and you're losing some level of control and blaming it on somebody else. So I would go back to these people and we would have a conversation about it, and they would want to hold me accountable, and I think that's fair. But I can remember telling people, hey, as we're talking about what happened the other day when it, whatever went awry, I don't want to talk about what you did leading up to this. I only want to talk about my reaction and what I did and what I'm doing in the future to try to make it better, right? To try to become a better person and a better colleague or a better friend or a better family member or whatever. Own my side of it. I think that's fair. And typically, as you might expect, they would be fine with that. They didn't really want to talk about their side of things, and that's okay. They didn't come back later for a second conversation and go, hey, I thought about this, and maybe I shouldn't have been being such a fucking asshole. Never happens. If it does, it was very brief and not as in-depth as I was trying to go. And then I really did make the changes, right? I really did try to adjust how I reacted to things. It's maybe I should go deeper and try to figure out why I get mad about these things, but I already know it hurts my fucking feelings, right? When you're being an asshole and I haven't really done anything to provoke that, you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed and decided to take it out on me, and then I fucking snap on you and let you have it because I don't like that shit, and then you get your feelings hurt because you drew that out of me. But still, my reaction is still, it's the last thing that happens, right? It usually shuts it down. And I'm not bragging. It's a bad thing. I'm not trying to be like, I'm badass. Wow, shut a motherfucker. It's not a fight. It's talking. It's not badassery at all. It's my inability to, or my unwillingness, whatever, to control my reaction. So at any rate, I've been working on it. I've had more of those kind of conversations than I wanted to have. So recently I ran into another situation like that. Somebody I have a relationship with, we're friends, and I really didn't understand, but the person was just being a fucking asshole. I had to be in the area. He was just being a dick. He was a dick to me. He was a dick to somebody else that I have some responsibility for. He was a dick to a bunch, and he just kept pushing it. And it was fucking pissing me off. But I don't know if I was either too exhausted or if I just didn't want to. Because one thing I found is a lot of times when I react harshly, what makes it worse is that there's a crowd around. And I've addressed this with people. Hey, yeah, I snapped in front of a bunch of people and it embarrassed you because there were people there. But this time, there were people there. There was an audience there. This person was being a fucking asshole in front of all these people. And I'm like, maybe my reaction in front of people is because you're starting shit in front of people, right? Maybe it's not me. Fuck, it started making me madder. And I'm like, nope, just don't. Just don't. Like, this person's been doing this shit for years. They're not going to change. Me being a fucking asshole is not going to help it. So I didn't say anything. And he kept on. He fucking kept on. He kept on. This shit went on for like 20 minutes. It was unreal. And when we got out of the situation and we walked away, it was very liberating because we weren't left with my reaction because I never had one. All we were left with was his actions. The shit he did. And he fucking knew it, man. He fucking knew it. And he tried to smooth it over by sending a text, right? Hey, man, sorry I was an asshole earlier. And I almost was like, hey, don't worry about it, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, fuck that shit, man. And so I didn't let him off the hook. He's still not off the hook. We still haven't talked about it, of course. If it was me, I would have fucking been beaten down the door to go have a conversation about it. But I don't know him anything now. I don't know him shit because I didn't react. He messaged something about me being better now that I didn't react. And I'm like, okay, so what are we fucking left with now? But I'm not letting him off the hook, man. Fuck that. Because now I'm straight up walking the higher ground, right? Now it's all coming clear to me that you acted like an asshole in front of people, right? I always kept it to what I did and not what the person did to fucking cause it. Because I didn't want to be like one of those, you know, those abusive husbands, right? That comes home and smacks their wife and then they're like, well, goddamn, you know, you overcooked the chicken or whatever, right? You made me do this, right? That's not right. That's what abusive people do. So I always tried to own up to my actions. But now, dude, the smoke is cleared. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't react wrong. I didn't provoke anybody. He was just being a fucking dick, man. He was really just being an asshole and he couldn't stop. And now that's what we're left with. And that's what the conversation will be if it ever happens. And if it doesn't happen, fuck them. So that's what I'm saying, right? I used to, I've seen those memes where somebody was like, I match energy, so you decide how we're going to treat each other. Fuck that. Just be nice, man. There's nothing wrong with being nice. People are going to be disrespectful and be shitty. Don't let them draw it out of you, man. Like I've said it before, but I didn't want to feel like a punk. I didn't want to feel like I was being a punk by letting somebody else disrespect me. Take that advice. Don't take that advice. This is the Deep Cut Energy channel. I'm trying to give you something on the B side, man, that you can tune into and incorporate. But when you have those people and you're like, how the fuck did I get in that argument again? And now we're talking about what I did when they started it. I know we're third grade, right? You started it, right? It's your sibling. But still, don't react. And then later on, all you're left with is what they did. All you're left with is what they did. And it is fucking freedom, man. It's such I slept good. I didn't fucking go to sleep thinking about what I should have said or, man, I said too much or I did that in front of these people. They're going to think this or that. All anybody thinks about me is that I didn't react, that I'm a nice guy. Worse things could be said about you. So try it out. See how it works. See if those situations don't turn in your favor where at least you don't have to account for your actions because you didn't have any actions to account for. It's fucking pretty dope. But that was on my mind because it happened recently. So let's get back into talking about the cigar. So I'm tasting like the crust of some dark ass rye bread. Not toasted, just the crust of some very dark rye bread. Let's get another pour of this Elijah Craig. While I'm pouring this, put in the comments, what do you like to pair with a bready tasting cigar? There's a lot of them out there, but these Oliva Series Vs, even the Melanio, I feel like are very bready type of cigars. What do you like to pair with that? Do you double down on your flavors? Do you go, this tastes like rye, I'm going to have a rye? Or do you go something sweet? Do you find some sweet bourbon, or do you hook you up a scotch? What do you do with these type of cigars? So yeah, I've got something similar from other cigars, but it's very much like warm, very warm bread that's got like some oil on it or something. And I'm sure that has to do with that wrapper. Man, that is really, I don't smoke a lot of sun-grown stuff. I should. I just don't try a lot of them. I should get on that, because this is a wonderful cigar. Still dark rye, bread crust. Like the crust from that pumpernickel rye, that dark stuff. But again, not toasted, not heated, but warm, but not like burnt bread crust, just the crust. Man, that is beautiful. I used to steer away from these for some reason. I saw they had a holiday pack, and I don't know, something like that. Right? These and Rocky Patel, for some reason. I've still, to this day, never smoked a Rocky Patel. I need to smoke one, but there's the variety is so wide, I just don't know where to start. And I don't know, there's just something about it kind of turned me off. Well, these were the same way. I guess because they were on every page of every magazine, I'm like, those probably suck. And turns out, I suck. These are awesome. Drinking that Elijah Craig makes me miss my brother-in-law. We tore down a whole bottle of damn toasted barrel one night. Him and my sister were out here one July, and he and I sat out and smoked 1 million cigars and drank that whole fucking bottle, and then got into something else. I really hope they make it out here this summer. I miss him. So yeah, that aroma is starting to change to an oiled, warm bread. I don't know that I'd call it butter. Almost more of like if you put olive oil on some warm bread. And you could smell that it's on there. Man, you could almost eat that. That is so nice. Almost like a warm oiled bread that's got like the towel over it, right? That dish towel that they put over it, right? To help it. I don't know why they do that. Keep it warm or keep flies out. I don't know. But there's something about that moisture that happens when that happens. Man, that smoke is still intense. I can't just take a big fat whiff of that like I do other cigars. It's got the power of a Connecticut broadleaf, but not the same aromas whatsoever. This is definitely different. This is really, really nice, interesting cigar. Not something I always smoke. I should keep more of these on hand. I got this in a 5-pack. I should buy a box of these. These are good. So now let's talk shit about cigar bands and keeping them on or taking them off. When I first started smoking premium cigars, I always took the band off, because I smoked Acid Nasties and they're a pyramid cigar, and the band would just slide off right towards your mouth, right? The thing is tapered. And then I saw some article on Facebook or something, right? It showed up in my algorithm, and they were like, you need to keep your cigar bands on so you can pay homage to the cigar company that made that cigar. You're disrespecting them by taking it off. And I didn't like that shit. I don't like the way that said. That's just this side of, hey, when you drink your tea, make sure you put your pinky up because you're extra fancy. I don't like that shit, because it's adjacent to any kind of group think, right? Sometimes there's functional reasons to do shit, right? And I understand those type of rules, but when there's rules that are just like, hey, we all decided this is what we do. So functional rules, right? In a cigar lounge, don't lick your cigar and then go use the house cutter, right? Don't stamp your cigar out because it fucking stinks the place up. Those are functional. Taking your band off because you're paying homage to the cigar company. Don't get me wrong. You might want to leave it on because you're smoking around a bunch of other people, and they might want to be like, hey man, what are you smoking, right? And then you can be like, hey, it's this, right? Take a picture of it. Man, do you like the way that smells? That makes sense. But functional reasons, let's talk about that. In this case, this is a very well-constructed cigar, so this doesn't come into play. But I smoked an Alec Bradley black market torpedo. I've actually smoked several of them, and every single one of those things, I guess because for one, the band is as big as the freaking cigar. Maybe I'll do a final review on that thing because it's a good cigar, but man, that thing wants to come unwrapped. With the wrapper being so long, it takes up the whole cigar. And I wish it didn't, because if I could keep a cigar band about that size on it, the thing trying to come unwrapped on me, the cigar band really does help that from becoming a problem, right? So it maintains some sense of like structure. And in that band, you have to take it out, unless I can tear it, but I haven't had any luck with that. But I did keep the little tiny band on there today. I smoked one earlier today, and I would just keep kind of like sliding it back down as I smoked, and it helped tremendously. So there is a functional reason to keep your cigar band on. And then of course, everybody knows this. I think at this point, I'm not telling anybody anything new, but sometimes like this band is sliding back and forth pretty well. I could probably just slide it off if I wanted to, but a lot of bands aren't that way, and they're a bitch to get off if you just take them off when you first start smoking. But once the heat of that cigar gets down close to the band, and I'm not the first person. Holt Cigar has a bunch of videos on this and 2 or 3 shorts on it, so this is not something that I made up here. Somebody else has done this before me. Hundreds of people probably did. But the heat of that cigar starts to warm that glue up on the cigar band, makes it a whole lot easier to take off. And combine that with the fact that you do that when the cigar gets low, the chances of your cigar starting to unwrap on you, right? If you need to cut it right first so it doesn't unwrap from this side. But there's no cap on this side. So it has the potential to start coming unwrapped a little bit. And when that happens, man, it sucks. Dude, you fucking fight it the whole time. So from that perspective, so I had to change my mind, because I wasn't trying to be, pinky up. I keep the band on because I'm giving homage to the cigar company in my backyard where it's just me. It didn't make any fucking sense. But there are functional reasons. I keep the band on now, not because of peer pressure from the cigar community, but because there are functional reasons to keep the cigar band on. So that taste, that toasted bread, I wouldn't call it bitter, but it's like, it can see bitter from where it's standing. It's bitter adjacent, right? It's almost there. Almost bitter, almost tannic. Let's touch up this burn line a little bit and see what I get off the foot smoke when I do that. So that burn line is really pretty nice, but you can see it's getting just a tad uneven. I mean, that's just nature of cigars, but I like to even that up. I use my little 1 flamer here and do it like a fucking laser, and look at all the beautiful smoke coming off of that foot. Bam. And before I lose it, let's smell it. Again, I can't take a big fat whiff of that. I gotta be easy with it. Man, that breadiness is really there. If you've smoked an Oliva Series V, this one or the Melanio, put in the comments and tell me what taste and notes you get. Matter of fact, I'm going to look up real quick and see what the masses say about this thing. Okay, so the masses get cocoa, which I did not pick up, coffee. We'll see if I get coffee now that it's out there, and power of suggestion. Pepper, I get the peppery feel, black pepper or white pepper on, like from peppercorn feel on the retrohale, but maybe not so much on the flavor. Toasted bread. Okay, I'm in there where that's concerned. So just for shits and giggles, let's look at the Melanio and see what people say about that. Okay, first let's talk about my notes on it, because I do have some notes here. I got slightly toasted rye bread. I got raisin spice oatmeal. I remember smoking that thing, and it was faint. It wasn't like but those instant packs that you get, that's the Melanio, not this one. Dry rye, faint walnut, and then the masses say cocoa, espresso, spice, medium, full body. And that's the thing, man. This Elijah Craig Straight Rye, I'm definitely, when I say I smell rye on this cigar, I can smell the cigar. I can smell that whiskey, and it's not that different. I mean, that some of those same notes are in there. So I'm not off base by saying rye. I know the masses noted it as, fuck, I can't remember, bread or something like that. But I'm picking up absolute rye on that thing. So let me know what other shit from Oliva is good. I think, aren't they affiliated with Nub or something? I used to smoke a lot of Nubs. I loved a 460 back, several years ago. So I've had this before. It's not going to change a ton. But before we close this out, let's get a retrohale and see what we think now that this thing's heating up a little bit. Yeah, that's got that peppery feel, like peppercorn. Again, I always feel like white pepper just because of the fine granulation. Like that retrohale, dude, it gets all over. And it is, if you're not careful with it, it's pretty intense. But that's almost every cigar. This is not unique in that fashion or that category. But I'm still getting dry rye off of that. It was a little warmer earlier. It had like the warm towel feel, like a little dampness. But coming through the retrohale, that's a dry feel, dry rye. Getting down here, and again, look to that point I made earlier. That thing just fell off of there because the glue got warm, the cigar got warm. And so that's the time to take it off. Of course, this thing's not going to come unrolled. This thing was constructed very, very well. I'm going to call it. I'm going to finish the rest of this thing and just do that off camera and just enjoy a little bit of Friday Eve. If you haven't heard the Friday Eve story, it's out there in one of my videos. I can't remember which one, but there's a story around why I say Friday Eve instead of Thursday. I can't remember which video it is, but go look for it and find it, man. You hopefully you'll like that story. It's a funny story. So the final notes on this, I've smoked it before, so I remember. I'll smoke it down to the nub. It'll take an hour and change to smoke, and it'll just keep being bready throughout in different ways. Very rye, very dark rye. Sometimes it's damp, sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's just warm, sometimes it's toasted. Never charred, never charred like burnt edges or anything like that. Very just warm, dark, oiled rye in different ways throughout. And that's what that cigar is. And that's why, in my opinion, pairing it with a rye whiskey. I hadn't paired it with a rye whiskey yet. I went and bought that today, and it was the right choice. So it doesn't have to be this one. I would say the Rare Breed Rye would be fantastic too. The Jack Daniel's Bonded Rye. So either way, that's it. That's your Deep Cut Energy cigar review. A little cigar philosophy, a little life philosophy, or whatever you want to call it. Hope that you found some B-side gold. If you don't want to know what B-side gold means, that's back in the day. Records, tapes had a B-side, and that was the shit that was not the mainstay radio stuff. So Led Zeppelin, Traveling Riverside Blues was a B-side, right? That's one of the things that made me fall in love with that band, right? Sublime's 40 Ounces to Freedom album, the B-side had a song called New Song. That song's awesome. That made me fall in love with that band. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, is that those rare deep cuts that are on there, and you go, man, yeah, dude, that's the vibe I was looking for. I knew I liked them. I knew somewhere, if I just kept digging, I'd find something fucking cool, man. And that's what I'm trying to give you on these cigar reviews. I throw a couple stories in there. It's not AI-derived content. It's not AI-derived ideas. These are real stories. These are real experiences. This is what I get. So hopefully, if nothing else, you got something genuine out of this shit. I hope you enjoyed it. If you stuck around this long, man, much appreciated. Drop a like, drop a comment, whatever those things are. I can't tell you what to do. Not the boss of you. Do what you want, but it would help me out. So that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy your smoke. Enjoy your drink. Damn sure enough, enjoy your life. And peace out and have a good one.